Sound Candy Talk Live News.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, open forum political discussion show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, there is a lot that is taking place. The latest is the UDA primaries that have taken place both in Baringo and Malava. And as the by-election fever, or rather push hits up, there are a lot of, different observations and, of course, conclusions on the same. And in this particular show, we'll be looking at what is up in terms of UDA and its performance countrywide. Does UDA still have the support they claim to have? Will those fighting for the UDA tickets stand a better chance to win in the by-elections? All that will be looked at by different Kenyans from different walks of life as they give their perspective and, of course, help us understand. And one place where this by-election is key is in Western Kenya, in Malava constituency. And it appears that the son of the late member of parliament lost the primaries to clinch the UDA ticket in Malava. Will that make any difference in this coming by-election, or it will be business as usual? We invite your input. And then something else is also cooking in the Western Kenya region, and that is the fights among key political leaders in the place for the control of the place. You've seen the altercation between Baraza and Oparanya, and of course Natembea, Haluale. All of them are looking for getting an edge ahead of who is in charge of Western Kenya as a voting bloc and can use it as a negotiating tool to gain wherever audience at the national level. I would also love to hear and learn from you what you think about that entire scenario. But the Western Kenya politics are not usual politics. They are unique in such that it's very difficult to say that you have put them in one pocket or in one basket and you're taking them anywhere. They may leave you while in the basket. So I would want to know what you think on the same. And then, of course, we'll be analyzing that in detail. So keep at Sound Candy Talk. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, as well as on TikTok. Tuko hapa kuchambua siasa zetu ili tuhakikishe kwamba mambo yote yanakwenda salama. And then, of course, on a sad note is a family demanding justice in Mombasa by reason of police brutality. This seems not to be going away any soon. The more things change, the more they remain the same. What's happening? We would also want to revisit that and, of course, give our views on the same. So karibu sana kwa show na kushukuru kila mmoja ambaye anamakinika kujiunga nasi. Kama unatupata TikTok, tuambie unatupata ukiwa wapi, na of course na kuomba tu chukua usukani huko ukakaribishe mtu na ukalike video. Tuanze tu kwa fujo. Kumbuka pia kuna poll question kwa YouTube channel Sound Candy Talk Live, na hapo tunazungumzia tunauliza swala gani nyeti miongoni mwa Wakenya. Which issue do you think affects Kenya more right now? Is it UDA primaries and 2027 elections? Is it opposition unity or disunity? Or it is police brutality and justice for the victims? What matter occupies and of course is on the high expectations of Kenyans? What is most important in the eyes of Kenyans on the matter stipulated in the poll question? Your response is important. Please make sure that you will do your best to secure that understanding so that we can all share in the same. So tutaanza na hilo swala la primaries za UDA na vile zimekwenda. Kumekuwa na malalamishi na wengine wakisherekea. Sasa tujui lipi ni lipi. Wazee wanasema turejelee ule mtindo wa kawaida wa kutumia debe. Licha ya kuwa UDA waliamua kwenda digital na kutekeleza kila kitu wakitumia teknolojia. Kati ya hizi mbili lipi linafaa na wewe unasimama wapi kwa haya yote? So we'll start with that UDA primaries, and then from there we'll be able to look into other matters, and then of course we invite your input. We are looking at the politics of Kenya generally, and then of course you know where we dropped out last time. Unfortunately, we were not able to keep the show yesterday, but now we're here. Let's look into what must be done. Thank you.
Baringo County residents on Saturday thronged various centers to participate in United Democratic Alliance nominations. The county's senatorial seat was left vacant following the death of former Senator William Cheptumo early this year. The nominations were, however, marred by technological glitches, despite assurances from party officials that the process was set to be seamless. And as you'll hear now from Crispin Otieno, the overall voter turnout was low.
Saturday morning, residents of Baringo County trooped to various schools earmarked as polling centers, while armed with their national identity cards to nominate UDA senatorial seat flag bearer after it remained vacant following the death of William Cheptumo in February 16, 2025. The much-anticipated nomination, according to the party, was aimed at curbing manipulation, save on time, its efficiency, and settling on the best candidate to clinch the seat.
Sema ukitoka kama agent, utatoka na results zako ambazo zimeprintiwa na zimesainiwa na agents wote. Kwa hivyo, hii ndio ile printer.
Inside the polling rooms and booths, this tablet is what everyone used to vote, irrespective of your age. However, some polling stations were marred by technical hitches as several gadgets failed, prompting the exercise to start way past 2 p.m.
Sisi tumepiga kura tu, nafikiri mimi ndio nisema ni mtu wa kwanza saa 8. Tumechelewa tangia asubuhi tumekuwa hapa.
This technology we have just this is the first time to have using such a technology in nomination, and it is very fast.
Tumekuwa na changamoto nzima tangu asubuhi, tumengoja password, tumengoja code, voters walikuja wengi wakarudi.
For some, especially the elderly folks, questioned the process as they never expected a paperless polls, raising eyebrows on its transparency.
Kutakuwa na mambia gogo ama nane finya hapa nagumu sangina anafinya opposite. So heri debe ile ya zamani ile ya 2022 na ile nyingine ilikuwa inaendelea 2017.
Hii teknolojia in fact ikuwe adopted na ikuwe advanced, iende advanced stages, and then you are good to go. Mambo ya kuiba kura nini kuna itaisha.
Baringo attracted a total of 9 candidates angling to reclaim the vacant seat. with some candidates jumping ship to support top contenders. According to IEBC statistics, Baringo got a total of 281,059 registered voters spread across 1,029 polling stations.
Next.
Crispino, TNO Citizen TV.
Mambo ni kama hayo. Baringo wana UDA wakienda kuchagua nani atakayegombea hicho kiti cha senator. Na umesikia wananchi hapo wanateta kwamba kwanza teknolojia inatumika kwa mara ya kwanza, na wengi walikuwa watarajii kwamba yatakuwa hivyo. Hapo kunaibua swali, is UDA experimenting with the people, or there is a hidden agenda to try and manipulate the outcome of elections using technology? The history of our politics and the history of our elections have not been very favorable. And one thing out of much of the investigations done about our flawed elections is that the rigging or the marring of the election usually takes place using technology. And so this UDA going 100% digital in its by-elections, is this the way to go, or there is some hidden whatever agenda to try and manage the situation? No doubt everyone who is in Kenya or following stories from Kenya, UDA is no longer the favorite party, or it doesn't have massive support like it used to be. And it's clear that the president is struggling to keep up with his popularity, as well as the policies he has deployed that are hurting Kenyans and making Kenyans not so much support his way of leadership. And so when the party is unpopular and is losing its popularity, and there is an imminent by-election and needs to participate in those by-elections, there are some maneuvers that are engineered to see to it that it keeps afloat. So probably this digital voting could be one of the whatever the cats in the sack of UDA, or what is your take? I really would want to investigate, or rather interrogate this conclusively, because our elections are never free, fair, and credible. Let's tell each other the truth. We always have the end in the mind, even when those elections are to be held, why they should be held at that point in time, and what we do to tilt the outcome, especially if the masses are not with the current administration. And so that is something fishy about that digital only. What I propose, and of course, I think that's what is stipulated in the law, that even if you're doing electronic voting and of course using the gadgets, there must always be that physical backup of everything that is being done digitally. And so the options need to be availed so that everybody votes using the proper means. It was rumored during Kanu's reign, then Kenyans were angry with Kanu, and Kanu became very unpopular with the majority of Kenyans. And so one of the things that used to happen those days, the level of literacy wasn't as high as today. And so we are told that some Kanu guys would go to the polling stations and get the old mamas and, you know, those grandmas when they go to vote and say, if you don't like Moi, you put an X next to his image. And so these people not being literate and not being able to read So they were able to vote for Moi, thinking that they are canceling Moi. So there is all manner of maneuvers that are deployed whenever the ruling party becomes unpopular, but they want to clinch on power and they want to do everything to stay afloat. And so this going all the way digital has something probably that we need to look at closely and come to a conclusion that is, necessary. The other point is on low voter turnout. This is nominations and the turnout is very low. Does this point out to what's going to happen in the by-elections? There will be low turnout. And of course, this low turnout, will it also not affect the 2027 general elections? Kenyans being who they are and having been disappointed in successive elections, there is a lot that IEBC needs to do to convince Kenyans that their vote counts and their decision is important. And so this, to me, looks like a sign of disgruntled people who will not care about participating into that political process. And I believe that is not, a good sign in telling and showing how the future looks with the continued mismanagement of elections. Kenyans, their confidence in their vote and their confidence in the outcome of the elections has been thwarted many times. And so there is, of course, apathy, there is complacence, and there is just, I don't care. And so we really need to up the game if our elections are going to be indeed elections. I would also want to remind you, you remember the repeat elections of 2017 after Maraga's bench, wherever, throughout the win of Ruto in the general elections, that's the presidential election. The repeat elections were very, very poor. The turnout was very poor. That it is said that we hardly had 15% of registered voters coming out to vote in certain places. And there were other regions where there was absolutely nobody turning out to vote. And so if we are indeed a democracy and the voice of the people needs to be heard and the voice of the people needs to be, expressed, then the IEBC and concerned parties must do everything in their power to help recover the confidence of Kenyans in voting. If nothing is done, I don't think voting is going to take place accurately in view of the understanding of the constitutional threshold of why there is general elections and why there is by-elections and why Kenyans should participate in the same. And so there is some, signal that probably Kenyans are not up for voting again until they are given guarantee that their vote indeed counts and their decision is important. Of course, that will have different reactions, especially by the political class. The political players would want Kenyans to vote. Other players would not want Kenyans to vote because, for example, the majority of the members of National Assembly and some in the Senate, some in the county assembly are aware that they have become unpopular and their opponents are gaining grounds. And so there is that aspect of, the less Kenyans vote, the less the vote of no confidence by Kenyans will not punish many of those that are afraid of being punished by being voted out. And so what we are seeing in Baringo and the low voter turnout, the change of the voting system from manual to digital and then paperless and all that, in my opinion, it is all grafted means where we can manage the lesser evil that we have and see how to maneuver and go ahead as the president's political party. UDA and its popularity, if it's not on the deathbed, they must be on the ICU. It's called what? Intensive care unit. High, where there is a close scrutiny, because I don't see UDA, I don't see the enthusiasm of UDA anywhere in the country. And so it is a matter of wait and see. And I hope there will be some seeing of one or two things that will make a difference. Now, that is as much as the by-elections are concerned. I remember in Malava, the son of the late member of parliament did not get the UDA ticket. What will happen? Will he go it independent? Will he support the person that won the ticket, or how will it go? We will wait and see. And then, of course, those primaries are high stake, especially for UDA and William Ruto, because the government doesn't want to be seen being taken by Kenyans as being unpopular, and of course not winning those by-elections. So those of you who think that the by-elections means nothing and the president and team may not care whether they win or not, you are mistaken. This is a matter of life and death, especially for the William Ruto team. And so don't underestimate the input of these players in terms of ensuring that those elections are all together being, set up for a win and nothing but a win for the government. And so if you're participating in this, or you are in a political party that is running against the government, you better flex your muscle and understand that nobody's going to give it to you on a silver platter. There is going to be resistance. There's going to be a really battle about these particular elections. And so it is important that you have that in the back of your mind, even as we relook at our politics. Then, of course, we are switching gears, ladies and gentlemen. As we take a short break, please make sure that you invite somebody. Tujiunge pamoja tukazungumza masuala haya kwa kina. Ni muhimu kujifunza kwa sababu wengi wetu tunataka tu kufuata mtindo na kuendelea bila kujali haya mambo yanakwenda vipi. You are as safe as you are well informed on matters politics, and then, of course, the leadership of the country. We can no longer pretend not to participate into the political discourse, because the political discourse has everything to do with our lives. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Kwa wale ambao mnamkumbuka rais marehemu mwenda zake Moi. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Kwa hivyo, if we don't deal with our politics and, of course, correct our politics, we can't correct our life as a country. And so we need to have a serious, quest to see to it that we understand our politics, and, of course, we are able to participate in determining where the country goes by who we give the realm of leadership to, the mantle of leadership to. Keep it right here. We'll come back shortly as we switch into the other story of the Western Kenya politics and the push and pull between key players in the same. We'll be back shortly. Keep it right here.
kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound County Talk Live.
You've dreamed about the perfect wedding, the dress, the vows, the happily ever after. But let's ask the most important question. Before you say I do, are you truly ready for the lifelong commitment that comes after the honeymoon period fades? Bernard Ngosi's groundbreaking ebook, Are You Marriage Ready?, is the ultimate guide to building a successful, lasting marriage. This isn't just another relationship book, it's a heart-to-heart conversation that prepares you for one of life's biggest decisions, getting married. Are you choosing love or just infatuation? Are you building a marriage or just planning a wedding day?
Reading this book was a game changer. I realized I wasn't as ready as I thought, but now I'm on the right path.
Don't wait until it's too late. Invest in your future. Download Are You Marriage Ready today. Link in the description below. Your future spouse deserves the best. Are you ready?
The Pharisees couldn't stand him, but they found out they couldn't stop him. Pilate couldn't find any fault in him. Herod couldn't kill him. Death couldn't hang him, and the grave couldn't hold him. Yeah! That's my king. That's my king. Hallelujah, yes we are naga. Hallelujah, yes we are naga. Hallelujah, yes we are naga. Hallelujah, yes we are naga.
Tunazunguka kote kote mchana kutwa kukuletea taarifa na matokeo ya habari kutoka pembe zote za ulimwengu. Jioni tunaweka mduara wa kujadili taarifa zizo hizo kwa mapana na marefu. Ungana nasi kila siku ya wiki kwenye matukio ya siku, saa 2 jioni kwenye Sound County Talk. Matukio ya siku, makao makuu ya habari kuu ya siku.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to continue following us as we analyze our politics in depth. We have looked at the by-elections. I'm waiting for you to bring your view on the same. But one thing is clear. The UDA administration will not take this by-election lightly. And of course, this is high-stake elections coming right before the year ends. And then remember, this is the 2026 year is not so easier because there is a matter to be determined before the Supreme Court, I believe, about the date for elections, whether it's the 1st August or the 2nd, is it? the first week of August of the 5th year or after 5 years. Now, that matter may just get us into the ballot box in 2026 as opposed to 2027. So when we have a by-elections in November, and then, of course, that 2025 will be over. Then 2026 kicks in, and the elections may be slotted to be in August. Then you know this is high stake, and the government would not want to lose those by-elections because it will depict them as weak and popular and not electable. And so those participating in these elections and these by-elections and think it's a walk in the park, it is not going to be so. Government machinery will be deployed and all manner of maneuvers will be released to see to it that the UDA administration does not lose any of the seats that they are going for. So get that in your mind, even as you look at other stories concerning our politics. So as I wait for those who are joining in the discourse, I will want us to look at the politics in Western Kenya, and then of course we'll look at the united opposition, disunity and unity at the same time. Let's hear out what the Western Kenya top political leaders are saying about the control of the place, and why is it important for somebody to be in control of the Western Kenya voting bloc.
Let's move to politics, where a war of words between the top leaders in Western region over leadership of major parties continues to threaten the quest for Luhya unity ahead of the 2027 election. In a bid to consolidate support, the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Cooperative Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya teamed up with other allies to rally residents behind President William Ruto. David Mudhoka reports that top of the agenda is mass voter registration.
It was in Lurambi, Kakamega County, where foes turned allies, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya shared a podium urging residents to unite behind President William Ruto in the 2027 presidential race. A war of words between CS Oparanya and Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barasa over the leadership of ODM party in the county is the latest threat to that unity. Oparanya accusing Barasa of rocking the boat from within.
Yeye anajiona ni mtu mkubwa sana. Kama Oparanya anaketi mahali paka hawa anaongea kwake. Hata kama nalala, kama natembea, kama nafanya mambo, hata sifikiri yeye. Mumwambie hivyo, yeye ni mtu mdogo mbele yangu.
In a region where political unity has long been elusive, such wars often breed a full-scale political headache for top contenders in the Western Bloc vote.
Kama sisi tuko 20% ya population ya Kenya, na tumegawana mara 4 au mara 5, our strength will only be 4 or 5%. Hatutakuwa na dhamana. Tutembee pamoja, tukae pamoja, tuheshimiwe Kenya hii.
Ati saa hii tukiwa hapa tunasema tukuje pamoja, lakini afterwards huko kwa kuguni yako huko, huyo mwingine ako huko na mimi niko huko, hatutaweza.
Their call for solidarity, however, comes at a time when fresh political formations are emerging, among them the Kenya Moja, the Tawe Movement, and DCP, seeking a share of the cake.
Na nimeona vijana sasa wanatusi Oparanya, wanatusi Weta, wanatusi nani. Unajua, sisi tuna uzoefu ya kutosha katika siasa. And this Oparanya is a wise man. He can stand here and see very far. Wewe ukiwa juu ya muti unaona tu hapa chini.
The Western Bloc had more than 2.6 million registered voters in 2022, with the figure expected to climb past 3 million in 2027. David Muthoka, NTV.
Okay, there you have it, the push, the pull, and of course Mwambangoma uvuta kwake. Hao ndio vigogo ama wanajiita vigogo wa siasa ya magharibi mwa nchi, wakizozana hapo, kila mtu akisema yeye ndio anafaa na yule mwingine hafai. Na hili ni swala nyeti kwa sababu kura za Western Kenya ni kitu ambacho lazima kila mmoja afanye nini? Anahitaji kwa wote ambao wanagombea viti at all levels, and being able to measure the Western Kenya vote is an added advantage in your negotiations, now that they are negotiating on numbers and of course how many can you bring on the table, and what you're bringing, is it worth the discussions? Remember the politics of shares and the politics of you want to be president, yes, but how many do you have already in your basket. That has been part of our election quest for quite a long time, and I don't think it's going away any soon, especially if we don't resist the temptation to continue running our elections and our operative as leaders outside of constitutional provision. Now, I'm deliberately bringing this in because the Kenyan politics are very, very messy, and they become messy because we want to play them outside constitutional framework. Okay, like our constitution does not, it acknowledges our ethnicity, the importance of our ethnicity, but it is anti using ethnic numbers to determine election outcome. Ethnic numbers to determine election outcome. That's now a violation of the constitution. But because it works and is more convenient, it's easy to group people in their tribes and, carry them to wherever you want to carry them in terms of opinion. Our politicians don't want to allow the 2010 constitution to take effect and be able to ensure that every Kenyan is free to make up their mind who to vote for as individuals and not as communities and not as regions. So this, our politics of regions and politics of, communities, different communities competing is the beginning of our downfall as a country. And this is one of the greatest challenges that we'll ever face as a country, walking away from this ethnicity and being, always provoking or rather inciting the tribal differences and use it for political gain. So you can see Wetangula, Oparanya, wherever Madividi, are all camping around what? Western Kenya, and all they are trying to do is to make sure that the Western Kenya bloc, which is a community of people who speak almost the same language, to be what? To be kept together. And you remember that argument of Wetangula. Remember, Wetangula is the Speaker for the National Assembly. He's a public figure, not just a public figure, but a public servant that is supposed to be working out for the cohesion and the unity of Kenya and allowing Kenyans to be Kenyans wherever they are. But look at the kind of leadership he's providing by making calculation and says the Luo community, it takes 20% of the Kenyan population. And he says if they go different ways, they can't, their numbers will not count for anything. I've heard that statement also being raised by Natembea and other political leaders. And so we are looking at that Luo community as numbers for elections and not as Kenyans that are, entitled to services and are entitled to government cake, or rather national cake, as Kenyans, not as Luyas, not as Western Kenya bloc. And so the politics of Kenya will only be freed when we take it out of the control of our ethnic rivalry and our ethnic calculations. As long as politicians have taken us back to Kikuyu standing together alone, Luya standing together alone, Luo standing together alone, Kisis, you see all of them have now teamed up, and all they want to hear is Matiang'i, okay? Now, I have nothing wrong, nothing against Matiang'i or Maraga or whoever. I'm simply saying that whenever we begin to raise the aspect of our ethnicity other than our national outlook, then we fall right into the trap of the politicians. They will manipulate us and make us do what we don't want to do. Remember the example I gave you about this polygamous man who was telling his friend that the only way for him to be able to run his polygamous home safely is to make sure that the wives don't see eye to eye. Always ensure that the wives are fighting among themselves. And as long as the wives don't agree, then he continues to be king of the home. But if he allows the different wives to work together in coordination and agree, they can make him disappear. And so we have a culture within our country where politicians have a way of provoking that tribal card and playing that tribal card to see to it that Kenyans don't see eye to eye, lest they agree and exterminate the political bad manners that has gone on for too long. I don't know what your thoughts are. I look forward to engaging with you. Please, the link to use to get in the studio is already in the comment section. Come in the studio and let us talk. And of course, if you can't join on the screen, you can participate in the comment section. Just put your view in the comment section and we'll be able to call it out for you. And then, of course, help you know what, help the rest of the world know what you think on the matters Kenyan politics. It is so important that we can't play anymore as far as the future of this country is concerned. And so the Western Kenya voting bloc, the politics of Western Kenya are strange. I would say that strange that they don't put on suit. They don't, they don't just follow anybody. You can persuade them, you can buy them, you can, tell them whatever you wish to tell them. But at the end of the day, they will do what they purpose to do. And this is clear. Those who have been following those politics for a while, you will notice. Let's just go as back as Ruto. Okay, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto invested a lot in persuading the Western Kenya to vote Jubilee in 2013 and in 2017, but they couldn't get up to 15% of the number of registered voters in Western, camping there more than anywhere else. So vote is not there for free for a grab, and it is not easily, just preached into following. And so there must be some serious conviction that gives them a sense of pride in identifying with a particular leader. The lawyers are not, easily to herd them. It's not easy to put them together. And when you put them together, to keep them together is a problem. And so you can see always there is the call for Luya unity, the call of Mlembe Nation. There was Babu Namwamba's came up with something called Luya consciousness and things like that. So everything can be deployed to see to it that you get the Western Kenya voting as a bloc. Not many people have been able to do that. Not many people have been able to do that. I think it's only Wamalo Kijana and Masinde Muliro who managed to get the Western people to vote in one election as one vote. The rest, it's always split. The Bukusus will vote alone, the Maragolis will vote alone, and the rest of the Luyas will vote alone. And so then, of course, you know that the ODM control of Western Kenya is not a light thing. It's not a light thing. Don't forget that Vihiga has an ODM governor, Busia has an ODM governor, Kakamega has an ODM governor. It's only Bungoma and Trans Nzoia. Okay, so the majority of the Western Kenya in terms of political supremacy, then ODM has the upper hand. And is ODM still a strong party in Western Kenya? It is not. I don't think you can rule out that unless something drastic happens. Something drastic happens. But from the look of things, the Western Kenya will easily identify with ODM. Traditionally, they have done that. I'm talking about in successive elections. We're talking of 2013, we're talking of 2017, and we're talking of 2022. They are flowing and working with ODM has had, an extensive, more convincing than other political parties trying to make inroads. So, the significance of Oparanya, Wetangula, and of course, Mudavadi are coming together and trying to work out what they are calling Luya unity, Mlembe consciousness, and all that. To me, it is nothing new, number one. Number two, they are doing what they have been doing all along. And of course, probably they may be talking of starting a Luya party. And that is an assignment I don't want to be given. Luya party. That will be a serious one. But let's wait and see. And so as we look into this, I would want us to, get everything clear that this country is overdue for a national political party. This country is overdue for Kenyans to speak the same language, for Kenyans to push for the same things, not us being easily, seduced into dividing ourselves among ourselves in the pretext that if you identify with this leader, you are a betrayer. If you support this leader, you are not with Kenyans. Kenyans are in Kenya and are for Kenya. Let us all be for Kenya. And whoever is the best among us should be led to lead us. That's all I stand for. That's why I sit on this chair, and that's why we discuss politics here. We want Kenya to be the hands of the best among us, best in terms of quality, best in terms of integrity, best in terms of faithfulness, best in terms of, honesty, still the best policy. Now, I'm speaking this because we have a phenomenon in this country whereby we throw all those things out of consideration when it comes to political leadership. And then we begin now to decide that so-and-so will be our leader because he has the majority of support. And that mistake started as early as 1963 when we were, pushing for the end of colonial rule in Kenya. The leadership was by the colonial masters was handed over to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. According to the analysis and according to their assessment, he was a better national leader, and he would, harness the unity of the country and probably the prosperity of the country. That is what the Mzungu assessed and came to conclusion that giving to Jaramogi is better. But what Jaramogi do? He said, no. The best person to lead this country is Jomo Kenyatta. By that time, he was in prison. So what happened? There was that now consideration that Jomo Kenyatta has better national appeal. Jomo Kenyatta is older, is well experienced in politics. And so leaving the country in the hands of Jomo Kenyatta is better. But what I want you to see is that Jomo Kenyatta was not given the mantle because he's faithful, he's integrous, he's honest, he's truthful. No, he's given the mantle because he has national appeal, he's more experienced in politics, he's more exposed to the outside world. Now look at that, all that factors of consideration. Then the country is handed over to him. By that time, Kenya is, virgin in terms of vast resources that have been left by the whites are now being placed in the hands of Jomo Kenyatta and, of course, his cronies of that time. What happened then? Did Jomo Kenyatta harness those resources and hold them faithfully for Kenyans? I would want you to cite any historical event that proves that Jomo Kenyatta took the nation called Kenya and held it on behalf of Kenyans and served it faithfully for the interests of Kenyans. I would want that cited out. What do we see? We see somebody who was given the mantle to lead the country, okay? And then what does he do? The only thing he fights and preserves is that leadership. And anybody going against his leadership became his enemy. And now instead of him concentrating on the country like Nyerere did in Tanzania, and of course other places, we don't see Jomo Kenyatta ensuring that lands are distributed fairly and justly for all Kenyans. We don't see Jomo Kenyatta practically forcing or rather formulating policies that are what? Pro-majority of Kenyans. What we see with Jomo Kenyatta was enhanced, advanced marginalization. Certain areas are ignored and cut out. Remember, devolution did not start 2010. Devolution was with us at independence, okay? Or what happened? Jomo Kenyatta scrapped off that devolution aspect to say it is too expensive. And then, of course, there are certain areas that are not productive. There is no reason to develop those places. And that's why we have that northeastern and other parts neglected because they were seen as unproductive. And then the other areas that were, especially those areas that were doing agriculture, they were producing a lot of agricultural products. The roads in the place were developed. And so development of the became scanty. And then, of course, one-sided at the expense of the rest of the country. And so we are where we are because of failing to consider the people asking for opportunity to lead us, putting them on the scale and ensuring that they have the right character, the right mindset, and of course, the right focus in ensuring that their leadership will make life better for all Kenyans. And so what I see happening is that Kenyans have fallen into that trap over and over again with almost all our successive elections. We never put somebody on the scale and want to know that if he doesn't stand for this and if he's not this kind of a man, he has these qualities and is focused in this way, he has this conviction, those are not the matters we consider. What we consider is, Matiang'i is a Kisii. How many Kisiis do we have? How many registered votes do we have? Oh, less than 1 million. Then, although he's a good man, but he doesn't have numbers. And then you go and get the other person, and then like the other person. And so with this kind of games, I can tell you point blank here that if Kenyans will not take 3 steps back and begin to look at leadership differently and not this madness we call political ethnic numbers as a factor of consideration on who becomes president and who should not become president, we will forever remain the way we are. And that is undeveloped and always on the street protesting with every successive government because bad leadership has no cure except replacement. Yes, bad leadership has no cure except it being replaced. And so I invite you to give your views, but what you're seeing playing in Western Kenya, it is not just in Western Kenya, is playing everywhere. See the way Rigathi is working out with the mountain, and of course ensuring the mountain is not going anywhere. And of course, rechecking and counter-checking, the mountain must stick with him. His political lifeline is the mountain. So he has to keep the mountain with him no matter what. And you can see the by-election seats that were to be, competed for between DCP, UDA, DCP, NDP, DCP, and other political parties. You can see DCP playing carefully. Gachagua is becoming very careful when it comes to fielding candidates in the mountain, because he doesn't want to lose the mountain or go against the wishes of the mountain by trying to ensure that only DCP has the majority of the wins in the coming by-election. So there's that negotiated democracy that certain seats will not be filled in by DCP. So Gachagua is playing carefully, because without the mountain, Gachagua is nothing. And without the mountain, Gachagua has nothing to tell the people on the table. And of course, you know that he has said he is running for president. And you know that is not possible unless there is a different ruling from the courts. Anyway, so our politics have been ethnicized, and that ethnic approach is not healthy for the country. It is only a tactic by the politicians to set us against each other and make us unable to do what we can do by throwing them, or rather showing them the door when we need to show them the door. Well, thank you so much everyone. Please tuendelee kukaribishana. Namba watazamaji na drop, na sijui kura tunapigaje, hebu niangalie. Tunapiga vilivyo ama visivyo? Na wakaribisha tafadhali, tujitahidi. Haya, kura tumeuliza swali mboga kabisa. Which issue do you think affects Kenya more right now? What is the top concern for Kenyans right now? Number one, UDA party primaries and 2027 elections, 8%. Opposition unity or disunity, 23%. Police brutality and justice for victims, 69%. So of the 13 people that have responded to the poll, 69% wanasema police brutality and justice for the victim is a serious matter in the hearts and in the minds of Kenyans. What is your take on this? And then, of course, if you have not participated in the poll question, do so. And before you do that, make sure that you like the video and, of course, be part to what is happening by, giving your views loud and clear for us to learn from what you are saying. Now, talking about opposition, united opposition, or the opposition unit, let's just hear what Gachagua said about the, suspicion that there is this unity within the united opposition. Maybe scramble on who is to control and be the flag bearer of that particular political fraternity. Let's hear this and get back to break it down.
Politics now, and DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua and his Wiper counterpart Kalonzo Musyoka have moved to dismiss talks of disunity within the united opposition even before the 2027 presidential race is officially underway. Joined by DAPK leader Eugene Wamalwa and former cabinet secretary Justin Muturi, the leaders reaffirmed their unity, vowing it will unseat President William Ruto, arguing the country cannot endure a second Ruto term. NTV's David Muthoka reports.
Speculation over cracks within the united opposition has in recent days mounted, with some principals accused of angling for the presidency while reluctant to cede ground to their counterparts. The speculation deepened last week when DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua launched his presidential bid, a move said to have caught some of his colleagues off guard. but a section of the principals, led by Gachagua and his Wiper counterpart Kalonzo Musyoka, has moved to dismiss the disunity claims.
They will not touch Rigiji or touch any leader. Lazima wakubali kuja kushindwa kidemokrasia. And it will be one touch. Sema one touch. One touch. Hata wakijaribu whatever formulation, this thing is done. It is done.
They vowed to deny Ruto a second term, urging residents of Mombone in Machakos to rally behind Kalonzo Musyoka and the united opposition.
Ni lazima Wakenya tuungane pamoja. It does not matter what ambitions, how ambitious we are. This country is bigger than all of us, and we must accept. Mtu anaitwa Ruto lazima aende nyumbani.
The leaders went on to blame Ruto for the country's economic woes and human rights violations.
Sasa nimesikia huyu jamaa akisema ati sisi hatuna akili. Ni kweli? Kweli, that is true. Ile akili yeye anatafuta sisi hatuna. Hii ya wizi, ya kuiba kila kitu Kenya, hiyo akili hatuna. That is true. Hiyo hatuna. Hii ya kupanga uongo. Unajua alikuwa ananiita tukienda mkutano anasema wewe Rigiji kuja, wacha tupange maneno ile tutaenda kuambia watu. Anapanga uongo. Tunasikiza anasema hiyo uongo bado tutosha ongeza.
They further accused President Ruto of deliberately denying the Ukambani region development, claiming key projects have stalled simply because Kalonzo Musyoka refused to join his government.
Maendeleo kuja hapa Machakos, si lazima eti kiongozi wenu Kalonzo Musyoka aenda apigie William Ruto magoti. Sio eti governors wenu, viongozi wenu wa bunge waende kwenye ikulu wapewe 10,000 waombe maendeleo. It is their right.
The leaders spoke during a pastor's ordination at Calvary Christian Church in Mutituni, Machakos, on the same day President Ruto was also in the county. David Muthoka, NTV.
Okay, there you have it. United opposition saying they are united and nothing is breaking them apart. But you can hear in those expressions that we are still rallying Kenyans to come together for an event. An event, meaning we want them to be together to ensure that they vote out William Ruto. And after that, what happens? Do we go back to disunity? Do we go back to fighting among ourselves? That is one of the things that makes me very uncomfortable with the mentality of political leaders. Politicians are naturally opportunistic in their operations. And so they will not initiate anything new or invest in ensuring that is a new way of doing politics and a new way of leading the country. They would wait for something that Kenyans would, respond to. Let's say their anger, their disappointment, their disapproval. And then they ride on the same, other than them creating that, whatever, that aspect. And so this is where we lose the aspect of us seeking quality leaders who have the best interest for this country and are willing to stake their life to achieve that. And so we only have people who are playing, with our emotions and trying to stir us up into a direction that, they know is not profitable and is not going to help the country. And then, of course, they like making sure that the country fails so that they can come and give us empty promises. And I have, reservations about what they are calling united opposition and uniting Kenyans. Remember, William Ruto and Raila Odinga are also claiming to be uniting who? Kenyans. Now, Gachagua and Muturi and Eugene are also uniting Kenyans. But they are not telling us who divided Kenyans. They are not telling us who has made Kenyans to be at loggerheads with each other. So this uniting of Kenyans, to me, is an excuse and then a lazy response to what bedevils this country. If you give us reason enough that this country needs better leadership and you can provide that better leadership, we don't need to know your ethnicity and we don't need to know how many Kenyans are with you. We just want to get our problems fixed. And if you're the one to say to fix those problems, then it doesn't matter whether Kenyans are together or not. You will be able to get sufficient support countrywide because every right-thinking Kenyan is looking for a solution to what is going on in the country. They don't care about the ethnic differences. They don't care about what we are calling numbers. And that is one place that we all as Kenyans need to get to, whereby the doctor, I don't know how many of you get sick, you go to the hospital and you ask the doctor, which tribe do you come from? When you're sick, the tribe of the doctor is not important. The only thing you are careful about is the competence of that doctor. And that's one place that each one of us has an experience into. The tribe of the doctor is not important. The competence of the doctor is. What is priority for you is get sickness out of your body. So whether it comes by black hands, it goes away by black hands, white hands, yellow hands, red hands, it doesn't matter. What is important is that you do what you're required to do in securing what should be. And so Kenya is sick. Kenya is problematic. Kenya is, experiencing a downfall. What we need is a leader that can shoulder Kenya, shoulder the issues of Kenya and finding a lasting solution. Not the seduction that we are being pulled into, and we're being persuaded into by William Ruto that I have done this for you, you must vote for me. I have brought you water pump, you must vote for me. I brought you school bus, you must vote for me. I have brought for you SHA, you must vote for me. I built for you affordable housing, you must vote for me. That is not the approach. The approach is, have you solved the problems that bedevil Kenyans? Have you shown any sign or any hope of those problems being solved? If you have not, it doesn't matter what you have done for us. What we need is this country to be run in the interest of all Kenyans and be established for it to operate constitutionally. Every other way, it's unnecessary and called for. And so, with or without the unity of the opposition, we must, as Kenyans, take responsibility on the future of this country and refuse to be sucked into uncalled for differences that don't help the future of this great country. And so I see majority of Kenyans are focused on that aspect of, will the opposition unity hold to the last day? They don't have to. What we need as Kenyans is to speak with one voice, reject what is evil, embrace what is good. These other games that we're being treated to are uncalled for, unnecessary, and we should ignore them. So Rigathi and Kalonzo, let them fight if they want. Eugene and Natembea, let them fight if they want. Halwale and Mama County of Kakamega, let them fight if they want. But we as the Kenyan people, we should say the bad manners of politicians using us and our ethnicity as a tool to manipulate and make us make wrong decisions, we should resist it, reject it, stand against it, and of course, make it clear to all of them. And so refuse to be sucked into the differences you did not create and the differences that don't profit this country. We need a leader. I am envisioning a time when Kenyans will rally behind leadership like they did in 2002 behind Kibaki. And, it didn't matter whether Kibaki is a Kikuyu. It didn't matter whether he's a casualty, an accident victim, who was on a wheelchair. It didn't matter. What mattered is KANU must go, and KANU has to go. And then, of course, KANU going meant betterment for the country. And so the vote for 2002 was for a better Kenya, a developed Kenya, a Kenya for all Kenyans. We lost it halfway through that whatever term, but it's something we can pick up. And so I want you to open your mind. As we go to the ballot, don't lock yourself with your tribal mindset or your ethnic mindset or region. Let's vote for the best among us to lead us. Remember, the best among us should lead us. The best among us should lead us. And it's best because he has the proper understanding of this country. He has the integrity that is needed in this country. He has the faithfulness. He has the character that depicts the responsibility of this great country from the east through the west, from the north through the south. But this aspect of we are voting for him because he has numbers, we're voting for him because he comes from our village, we're voting for him because he comes from our side. No, let's drop that. Let's ensure that the best among us is the one that leads us. In that way, we'll have fixed the leadership. And when we fix the leadership, we have fixed the country. And so don't be deceived with this aspect of us investing into our energy, investing our energy into holding a unity that cannot hold, okay? Or spending sleepless nights on whether Matiang'i, Kalonzo, Gachagua are going to hold until the last day. They don't have to. But we as Kenyans should rally together and say we are in to fix the leadership of this country once and for all, and we should get the best among us to lead us. Let's not, hang on so and so. And I'm saying this because we have blamed a failed leader in the past on the issue of we were deceived. We were told. We were denied we couldn't see what we were being told. And so for us to free ourselves and, of course, free this country, we must let the Kenyan people vote as they choose and let the best man win. But the best man to win has to be the best among us, not the one brought by whoever, the one agreed upon by whoever, the one that has been agreed in the boardroom by, no, the best among us. So we have Ruben Kigame, we have Wajakoya, we have Gachagua, we have Kalonzo, we have Matiang'i, we have Maraga. All of those people are running for presidents. Who is the best among them? Who is the best in Kenya? Who should be leading Kenya? That should be a matter that drives us, not our ethnicity, not the groupings that people have put together. Those groupings should not be a factor of consideration other than the character of the man or the woman, the history of that man or the woman, the evidence that he indeed loves this country and wants the best for this country. I've always talked about, see what Ibrahim Traore is doing in Burkina Faso. Single-handedly, he's causing changes, and those changes are in the interest of the people and the country that has been in poverty for over 60 years is now seeing prosperity, is now seeing development, is now seeing transformation. We need that kind of leadership. Not this leadership of niliwaletea leso mlifanyia nini, niwaletea shamba mlifanyia nini, niliwaletea sijui nini mkanifanya nini. This bribing should stop. The seduction should stop. We just need to get the right leadership, and that leadership has to be by all means decided by Kenyans, the majority of Kenyans, not the groupings of ethnic groups. No, the majority of Kenyans. A vote in Turkana, another vote in Lamu, another vote in Kakamega, another vote in Muranga, another vote in... And when we get all those votes put together, we are able to scale and tell that the majority of Kenyans are thinking in this way. So us being heard and put into groups, and we are told as a group we vote this way, that's defeating the process of democracy and the process of just elections. Let the husband vote the way he has determined. Let the wife vote the way they have determined. Let the brothers and sisters vote the way they have determined, because they are making a decision for Kenya individually, yet corporately. Don't vote for a wrong person because your tribe is voting for that person. Don't vote for a wrong leader because your region is voting for that person. That you are supporting the evil, and you are helping evil to thrive in our country. So make up your mind to go for quality, not quantity, to go for faithfulness and, of course, character, and not a political patronage or whatever political convenience. No. We have used political convenience and sunk. We have used tribal arrangement and sunk. Now it's time to engage what really counts. And what really counts is the leader must have right character. Offices don't change people. People change offices. Yes, offices don't change people. It is people that change offices. Look the way Ruto has successfully run this country out of the constitution. Because he's anti-constitution, he's anti-following the law. And so he got into the presidency when Uhuru has worked so hard to get Kenya as constitutional as possible. Allow institutions to do their work. Let cabinet secretaries function as cabinet secretaries. Make personal decisions and take responsibility. What has Ruto done? Got into office and rolled all that back. He's now the alpha and the omega, the spokesman of the government, the marketer of the government, the defender of the government, the explainer to all Kenyans. No other person does anything anymore. Everything must start and end with Ruto. That is not 2010 constitution. That is not how Kenya should be run. Kenya for all Kenyans must remain constitutional, and nobody in their right minds should support anyone taking Kenyans away from the constitutional operation. So, so far, what has happened under William Ruto is sufficient for his impeachment. We wonder what our members of parliament are doing by ignoring the calls. If we were from other democracies, William Ruto should be out of office for constitutional violations and, of course, going public about it. Well, so the unity of opposition is okay. Let them hold together as much as they want. But the Kenyan people must make up their mind who becomes their leader. Don't fall for a leader because he has numbers, he has majority support or things like that. Don't lose your vote, or don't use your vote to vote in evil again into office. Let's reject bad leaders at all levels, from the MCA to the member of parliament to the Senate to the governor to the president. We want quality. Then the country will fix itself. But if we remove the hyena and put in the vulture, the outcome will be the same. The outcome will be the same. Well, I appreciate all of you that are participating. Thank you so much. So let's do what we must do, and that is Kenyans begin to think soberly, begin to focus on putting everybody on the scale. Everybody. Our MCA lazima kaguliwe. msimamo hapa amesema anaenda kurani MCA wa Vanga, basi naye pia aweke kwa mizani, kila mmoja akaguliwe. Mimi hapa nikisema nataka kuwa senator wa Nairobi, basi nikaguliwe na mimi natosha mboga sitoshi. Kwa lipi? Kwa nini nipewe hicho kiti? Ni wapi nimesimamia maslahi ya Wakenya? Masuala ya kutumia ofisi za umma kujinufaisha wewe binafsi, hiyo inapaswa kufukuza kwa hiyo ofisi kabisa kabisa, na kuna mtu anapaswa kuja kusema ni mtoto wetu. Kama wewe ni kiongozi wa ama unasimamia lolote ambalo linahusisha umma na wewe hausimamii haki yao, basi you are the wrong person. It should be rejected wholesale. Well, as we rush to conclude the show, tafadhali na waomba wala ambao mnakuja mkuje, wala mkuji basi ndio hivyo. Let's conclude with this particular story of a family seeking justice for their loved one that was killed in wherever by the police. Let's just listen out and then we will.
Steven Zoka, KTN.
The family of Simon Warui, a 26-year-old who died in controversial circumstances at the Central Police Station in Mombasa, are now demanding for justice for their kin. According to the post-mortem report, the late died due to lack of oxygen and his body showed fractures on the neck and hand, Tobias Chanji reports.
According to Daniel Gicheha, a cousin to Simon Warui, they received information of Warui's arrest in Nairobi, who was then transferred all the way to Mombasa, with questions lingering, why was he transferred all the way to Mombasa? He describes the place where the deceased had been locked at as messy with blood spilled everywhere.
I traveled yesterday night. I arrived here in the morning. We received the news about the passing of our cousin back in Nairobi, and we don't have much to say.
DCI wakatuchukua wakatupeleka pale Central Police, na kufika pale tukaonyeshwa ambavyo Simon, hatuna ushuhuda ya kwamba hatujui, hakuna mtu anajua ama ni alijiua ama ni kuuliwa. Hatuna evidence any.
Walid Sketi, an activist at Vocal Africa, says the body of Warui was fractured and had several injuries. Human rights groups are demanding answers.
Postmortem imefanywa na imeonyesha kwamba amekufa as a result of lack of oxygen. Lakini kuna several fractures ambazo zimeonekana kwenye mwili. Kuna fracture kwenye shingo. There is a fracture on the hand that was found broken. The tips of the finger were dark, indicating that there was lack of oxygen during the death.
We're indeed shocked and very saddened by the demise of Simon Warui, a 26-year-old who was very fit, very alive barely a week ago. The news that he lost his life inside Mombasa's Central Police Station is not just disappointing, but extremely worrying. As human rights activists, we demand that action be taken against those who are responsible for his death. We find it perplexing that inside a police cell, there would be height for someone to actually fall and die.
The case of Warui is among many of victims who have died in the hands of police, with many questions remaining unanswered. And now on the list is Warui's family, who just like others are asking tough questions while demanding for justice.
And we're asking ourselves, we just want to know what happened to Simon so that we can get a closure to this. If you're able to get answers from whoever was involved, then we can seek justice for Simon.
Na hiyo justice najua itatuweka huru. Simon ameenda akiwa mdogo sana, na tukitoka Nairobi tulikuwa tunajua Simon is alive.
Tobias Chanji, KTN, Mombasa County.
And further afield, an advisory.
Okay, there you have it. Kenya and police brutality and people disappearing in unclear circumstances is decided to live with us. And it's very heartbreaking that we are losing very energetic young people in police custody, and nothing seems to be, taking place in terms of stopping it, or the people that are involved being punished as is required. So we have this Simon Warui in the footsteps of Albert Ojwang. Kenyans, we are quickly forgetting. But you see, it's the same script. Arrested in Nairobi, taken to Mombasa, found dead. This one arrested in Homa Bay, or rather Migori, or brought to Nairobi, dead in police custody. There is something that is going on that we as Kenyans need to do something about it. And that is, we should redefine what the police service is supposed to be and how it's supposed to serve Kenyans. Because it appears the police has been hijacked by a clique of people, and they have turned the police into a gang that is carrying out their bidding, including exterminating young people. It is unforgivable for us to exist as a society and be thinking and doing what we are doing. This is not it. Somebody breaking the law does not in any way warrant that they should die. And those behind this should just grow up, understand that people are entitled to having their own heads and their own way of thinking and their own way of doing. As long as that doesn't violate your right and doesn't violate the law. And even if it does, then there is what to do according to the law. Police that are killing young people, stop it. This country belongs to those young people. When you are old, of course, let me bring in this, the question that I think is in John chapter 21. After the resurrection of Jesus Christ and Jesus appearing to John and Brother Peter and the rest of the disciples, there was that aspect of a belief that John, the disciple, will not die before Jesus returns. And so while that gossip was going on, something happened. And what happened was Peter wanted to know if John is going to live until Jesus comes back, what will happen to him? That is Peter. And so Jesus, in response, says, if I choose that John will live until I come back, what would that be? It says, you need to concentrate on your assignment and do what is required. But there is something here that Jesus speaks about Peter that I want us to take a lesson over. He says that it's like Jesus is giving him his destiny, is giving him his understanding on how he's going to end his life. Okay? He says, when you are young, you dressed yourself up and went wherever you wanted. But a time will come when you will stretch out your hands, another will dress you and take you where you don't want to go. Now, I'm saying this to all the police officers and all people in civil service that are prejudiced against young people. Those people you are misusing right now, those people you are inflicting pain on right now. A time will come when you as an individual, you will not be able to go out and come in the way you are doing. A time will come when you will need somebody to hold your hand and take you where you need to go. You see that station you're commanding right now? A time will come when your great-grandchild or your child will be in there, but the person you'll find on that seat that you're using to misuse and kill young people will be that young person that you misused, and now you need his favor. What do you expect? Don't build a country that does not secure your future. Don't abuse your being in office and use it to kill young people. This trend has to end. And let us be responsible enough. Punish somebody, yes. Correct them, yes. But killing them, no. Mnanyonga watu kwa police station kwa nini? This is not the Kenya our fathers fought for. And so let's wake up and realize that you may be in charge right now, you may be the police inspector right now, you may be the wherever, but you won't be there forever. A time will come when you need to stretch your hands and somebody will carry you to where you should go. Make sure that that person carrying you will be carrying you at your interest, not carrying you because they wish to get rid of you. Quickly, I see Reverend Lala here. Before he comes in, let me respond to this. United opposition is a kingdom. Blood-based is another kingdom. Where is the problem? That's N talking. Eh? He said, talk to ODM to leave united opposition alone. And oh God have mercy. And I don't know. I try so hard to follow your politics, but I don't kind of understand it fully. I'm praying so hard to be able to do that. And so ODM is not in the united opposition. So how is it scuttling the united opposition? I'm not against the unity of opposition, number one. But I'm simply saying that the unity of opposition is not equivalent to the unity of Kenya. Okay? I'm simply analyzing politics for what it is, that Kenyans need to make up their mind on the future of the country, not to let the politicians decide. This aspect of we have agreed it is this way, and then we all go there. We refuse to question, we refuse to ask questions, we refuse to scrutinize the people because they have decided. That is all I'm saying. It has put us in problems. The reason why Ruto is in office with all those scandals, with all those question marks, is this one. Sisi watu wa mlima tumeamua na kuna kurudi nyuma. Lazima tulipe deni. Deni likalipwa. Saa hii liko wapi? Tuko wapi? So that is exactly what I am saying. So united opposition, no united opposition, what we need is Kenyans coming together and taking their country back. That is it. They don't have to use those vehicles being laid out. They can come together and say, no, everybody that is going to the ballot must be scrutinized. We must all agree that we want this quality of people. And if they don't meet this threshold, they should not even make it to the ballot. If we do that, we take the country back. But if we let the politicians take us where they have been taking us always, then we will not change what's happening in the country. And that's all I am talking about. And so whether it's ODM, whether it's united opposition or no, that is not important. What is important, in my opinion, is Kenyans making up their mind of running their country the right way, including the elections and the outcome of the same. And so if you're banking on the united or the unity of the opposition to save Kenya, it will still be the same thing. We did it in 2002. How far did we go? The unity of politicians does not necessarily guarantee the betterment of the country. And that's why everybody's using it as an excuse. And that's why I'm saying, Wakenya tufunguke macho. Tusihadaliwe kwamba hawa wanaleta umoja, hawa walete umoja. Si wote wanahubiri umoja. United Opposition wanataka umoja. UDA na ODM wanataka umoja. So umoja upi ndio umoja? I leave it there. Reverend Lala, good to see you. How is today? Unmute. Your mic is off.
Good to see you. I'm well, Bernard, and I'm happy that Kenyans are beginning to understand, if many of them have not, to understand the deeper issues that we have in the present time. And I think one of the benefit of anger is that anger will make us go out and question what's really going on. But anger that is not guarded, it's not given chance to think through, to scrutinize what's really going on, is actually a very bad anger. It's very destructive. And sometimes we make mistakes that will haunt us and destroy even our future. So my belief here is that, first of all, I agree with you 100%, that the time God has given us is to question the credibility of everyone, both in and outside the government, because most of us do know that even the opposition side, what we call those who are anti-establishment, or what's really going on right now, we know there's so much dirt on the other side. So for us not to question what's really going on is exactly what you stated, that we will get another Ruto, another one who is there to continue eating. The big reason why many of them are unhappy and in opposition is because they are not on the inside. They are not given what they're used to. But we see them driving around, having meetings and all that. And we do know that most of that funding, most of it comes from the same resources, because they were there in the government, they saw the looting and the things were happening. And that's why I think it's critical for us to, as Wananchi, to ask those fundamental questions. You know, what do we really want as a nation? And if we can do that, that will lead us to scrutinize the so-called leaders, because a leader is the one who will make decisions. They're the ones who will guide, who will fight. If you don't have a fighter, this corrupt cartel will continue. They just change. All you do is change names, and they're on the other side. And we know the tools they use. They use tribalism, okay? They use power. They don't want anyone to ask any question, because they just want you to be angry, okay? And sometimes they create that anger themselves. They create conditions that will create anger in people. So because they know the system, so they will do something, including even abduction and murder. You know, I believe it's on both sides how people were capable of doing that, because we know they were there in the beginning and they didn't say anything. So I think it is us, we the Wananchi, you know, asking those tough questions and willing to do what it takes to have a nation. But if we wait for some change to take place, but we're sending this one home, the one you're bringing in is no different. That is going to make or she's going to make, because what they know is how to eat. What they know is how to manipulate. What they know is how to create power base that will support who they are. They don't care about bribes. They don't care about other part of the country not having any development. We've seen that over the years. And so when we are fighting right now as Wananchi, let us have those ideals that we cannot compromise. A country that is not built on ethnic balkanization, a country that understands that if we do it together without corruption, then we can make it as a nation. So I agree with you, Bernard. Kenyans must ask those questions, because if we don't, then we've got no future. So I just wanted to make a comment on the message I think that you are trying to hammer home, that fact that we must ask those questions, those hard questions, and we must live it. You must not just talk that it is somebody else's business. It's my business. It is me not to be corrupt. It's me to give a helping hand instead of just holding and collecting and buying and having. Yeah, just look at the field of what these people have, and look at how poor Kenyans are. Okay, we pride ourselves as developing. We are better than our neighbors, a big economy. But when you look inside the country, then you realize that there's so much inequality. The poor are really poor. They don't have enough. People still live like birds in Kenya. Take a plane or take a train. Look at the little houses people live in. There's no difference between our Kenyans and birds. It's like living, like birds. You see on the countryside what they own, one clothes. In fact, if you compare regular Kenyans and those Palestinians in the refugee camp, the Palestinian refugee camp looks healthier, well dressed, well nourished than Kenyans who are independent, people that have pride themselves as free. Yet we cannot afford the basics because of leadership that we have in the current and the past. So it's a time for us to really think and also make decisions that will help us as a nation. Because right now we're just playing politics, and the more we play politics, the more we keep on falling in the index in so many areas, and it's very hard to catch up in the modern age. And so that's what I want to say, and I'll wait. Back to you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Lala. We appreciate that. And of course, the struggle continues. And this will be a long war. Change never comes easily. And those who assume that by them changing, or rather advocating for change, that means change automatically, I don't think that is how it works. In the few years I've been on earth, I have seen enough to understand that whenever you want a worthwhile change to take place, you take responsibility. You don't look on who you can assign to cause that particular change to happen. It appears here that Anne is determined to take us back to one term and argument. It's all your right, Anne. You're free to express yourself. But where I'm inviting you into is more serious than two-term, more serious than hate for Raila or love for Raila. It has everything to do with this country and how this country can be safe no matter who is president. And this country can only be safe no matter who is president by every aspect of this country being governed according to the rule of law.
Yes,
giving this country in the hands of so-called united opposition without constitutionalism, making the country constitutional and its operation, it will still result into the same outcome. You're calling this one blood-based government. What would you call the one for Jomo Kenyatta? What do you call the one for Moi? What do you call the one for Kibaki? how much blood was shed? Uhuru Kenyatta and now William Ruto. I don't think we have had any administration in this country that is not blood-based. Lala.
Yes, I just wanted to make a little contribution on that fact. You see, we cannot take this country back because back is where we are running away from. Rutoism, Ruto is not. We don't want things the way they have been done. Okay, and it does a representative of the past, where things are based on since independence. Certain part of the country have never been reached. We did nothing for them. And that is a crime. That is not fair. And thank God for the constitution that already opened up, other places to get even a tarmac road. Okay. So while some places got everything. And so people are sometimes concerned because if you're taking us back, you're telling us we will not have the development. So to me and the rest of us, I think we need to take Kenya to another place. In fact, at the founding of the nation, the philosophy was Kenya, the Kenyans want. I think we can use that philosophy. Kenya, the Kenyan want. Kenya does not want a corrupt regime. We want a development-minded administration that will look at entire Kenya. So what we are asking for is more than one term. One term means to me nothing. If you're going to go back one term to go back the way things were, I don't want to go back there, okay? Where development is skewed. There may be a better than Uhuru or better than Kibaki. Maybe Ruto is worse. But for some people, that is. But development must be broad-based. Kenyans must feel like they have a nation, not living like on the trees. So whatever blood-based, whatever, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear a Kenyan-based administration, which I'm sorry to say that we have not. The closest to that has been the Constitution, the adoption of the Constitution, because for the first time, money is going to those places. But it's threatened if we don't work hard to make sure that we expand, we realize, we put this constitution to work, then Kenyans will benefit. So let us not be captivated by our own tribe, our own groups, and forget the bigger picture. I don't want this country to go back to where we look at things based on just the tribe. And that's why I think it's important. We are fighting Ruto. Okay, we are fighting him so that we can go where we want to go. The Kenyans want, not to take them back to some place somewhere. And so it is bigger than one term. One term is, to me, can be a slogan. It's okay because one term means that we're not satisfied with the 5 years that the person is on. That I think all of us have the right, especially when that one term is over. But as Kenyans, we got to look beyond one term, beyond some of these issues, and see where our children will be. Because it's us to establish, to create the framework that will help us go there. If we don't, if we mess it up, then our kids will be enemies because of economic reasons, because of tribal issues, because the economy does not reach every part of Kenya. And even to make it home, to say that the economy only benefit certain group of people. They may be in a little tribal cocoon, or they may be just a group of people that know how to work this government to their own advantage. And we know that. And so they use tribe to get what they want. They're just corrupt. Those are the things that I think we need to scrutinize as Kenyans so that we have a nation that will serve us, not we serving them. Back to you.
Okay, asante sana Lalat. We appreciate that. And of course, we are all at different levels of understanding in terms of what should determine the agenda of any demand for change in leadership. But at this point in time, history should serve as a great point of reference. I am a student of history and I love following things and the patterns, because those patterns are bound to repeat themselves if we keep doing what we did in the past. We've had this controversy in the church where people are talking about breaking generational curses. And if you are born in so-and-so places, you have so-so evil spirits, or you have so-so limitations in your life. Looking closely in that same thing on the Bible perspective, it is not automatic that you have a curse because you come from a particular family or you come from a particular tribe. You can only attract a curse. The Bible says a causeless curse will not land. So the only thing that makes a curse work in your life is when you do the same things your ancestors did to incur the curse. But if you don't do those things your ancestors did to incur a curse cannot come to you automatically simply because you are black, automatically simply because you are a Luya or a Luo on that matter. So there is assumption that we get invited into and we jump on it and run with it without us scrutinizing whatever that we're being offered. And once again, I want to urge you, just like I know you are a lady and you participate into kitchen while you are cooking. Ukiandaa pilau ama unaandaa nini, you don't take the rice from the supermarket and pour it in your sufuria and cook. You select it, if you come from the generation where I come from, to make sure that if there is any impurities inside the rice, is removed fast before cooking. Why? Because you are looking at the interest and the health of your family and the people that are going to eat the food. That is what we are inviting you into. Nobody should be given leadership in this country because people in the supermarket have decided to package rice. As super as they are and as intelligent as they are, after they give us the rice, we go to check and be sure that it is good for human consumption, it's clean enough, and it's good. That's all we are asking for. Not for you to give us a blanket conclusion that because Gachagua, Kalonzo, Matiang'i, and group have agreed, so everything is okay. No, we scrutinize everybody. And then Caro here says anything but Ruto. It's the same thing. I told you that patterns are going to repeat themselves. It's the same thing. The people who voted in Ruto, they said there was no option. Raila wasn't an option. There was nobody on the ballot that was an option. So they voted Ruto. It's the same place they are inviting you. Na mimi naona kama mmemeza hiyo ndoano tayari, mnataka kukimbia nayo. Now that they are canceling everything, Ruto says hawana agenda, one term see agenda, and then now they say agenda in one term. So instead of us scrutinizing people before we put them in leadership, we just want to argue about one term, two term, three term, one term. It is not, in fact, one term is not an agenda, or two term is not an agenda. That is already concluded by the Constitution. The only way somebody gets a term, whether it's one or two, is by a majority of Kenyans deciding. And so if you're really concerned about this country, you should concentrate in making sure that majority of Kenyans participate in the elections, but make the right decision. But now we don't want to do civic education. We don't want to inform Kenyans. We just want to engage them for 2 years, one term, two term, one term, two term. I won't be part for that. I will not be party to that. I want us to have this show, then discuss really, really nitty-gritty issues that we have been ignoring. There is an assumption that everything Raila says is done. That's not true. There are so many things Raila has put on the table that have been turned down. So this assumption that Raila is a blind guide, is leading people blindly, is leading who? Including the people who don't follow Raila. They are not in ODM. They are not in Raila's camp. They still, brand and claim that Raila is leading these people astray. How many, I've asked this question, and at the risk of sounding tribal, okay? ODM members of parliament in Nairobi only come from at least 5 different ethnic groups. Okay? Then tell me UDA members of parliament in Nairobi, they come from one community. MCS, one community. Why is that the case? You should tell me that. So let's not just jump up and begin to make claims without basis. What we're inviting us to do here as Kenyans is, let us not allow anybody in leadership without them being scrutinized, including Raila Odinga, including William Ruto, including Gachagua. Gachagua's skeletons are still there. Muturi's skeletons are still there. Kalonzo's skeletons are still there. Everybody has their own skeletons. Let us not assume. Assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. You assume that because somebody is not talking to Raila, he's a good person. This one is talking to Raila, is a bad person. That is an assumption. You have not investigated anything. You're singing that song we used to sing in the church. I was sleeping, somebody touched me, and then I know it was the hand of God. How do you know it was the hand of God? Just because you are touched while sleeping. Where is it written that whatever touches you while you are sleeping is the hand of God? So I would invite us into serious discourse, and that's why I'm here. And so not just to make a show and discuss. I would want Kenyans to be informed and Kenyans to know that we have left the decision of the future of this country in the hands of politicians for too long. It is time for us to sit down and begin to assess the country critically and say, this one is fit, this one is not fit. Let the people decide. Like Matiba used to say, let the people decide, not politicians. Anne and the team are inviting us to follow politicians like we have done in the past, and it has brought us problems. They still want that repeated. No, I cannot follow Gachagua. Gachagua told us Ruto is the best. He turned around and said he was deceived. So what makes us sure that this time he's not deceived? If he was deceived once, what tells us this time he's not deceived?
Bernard.
So let's not get into, just vilifying people and concluding that these ones are good, these ones are bad. No, Kenyans should be led to scrutinize everyone and put everyone on the scale and only decide for the best among us to lead us. If it's not the best, tupwe nyuma. Lala tuache kufungasha sana nimefika.
Bernard, there's a point that I want to raise here that is very critical. The role of parties, okay, in any democracy that is functional, that is good, whether it's the US type or the India type, parties have to be strong. They got to be organized because they are the ones that come together to select their candidates, okay? And they have to ask those questions. What kind of candidate is this person? And then they present a very strong candidate who can be able to win the election. And they look at the character of the person, the past accomplishment, education, all the above already they have in place. That internal organization within a party is key to democratic government. Kenya has a problem. Right now, the election is very close. And all of a sudden, we'll have parties even going to rule that are formed a year or two before an election. They have got no clue who these candidates really are. And as long as they have money, they identify with that party from a particular region, they go ahead without the party's input in any of those candidates. Okay. So I think we're in danger here simply because parties that will be vying, sending their candidates out there at this moment, nobody even knows whether the UDA will be there or something else will come in. At least ODM has a track record as an old party, and we know some of the candidates that are there. But even within the ODM, they must ask those fundamental questions for us to have credible candidates. So let me say this. This one-term issue may blind us to looking at the character of those candidates. So we'll see somebody coming in, UDA, they go UDA. So coming with ODM, I don't know the new party that will come. So it is critical for all of us as Kenyans to look at these parties and ask them to organize themselves and bring us candidates that are of good reputation, capable, because a lot of times when the candidate goes to campaign, Wananchi may not have that information. But if parties would ask those information much earlier and make sure they put a better candidate out there, then we'll have in the field people with credible character and better understanding of what's really going on, rather than watching our parliament, leaders that are corrupt, some are not informed at all. They don't even know how to read, can't even read the constitution, can't read any of the documents they need to understand. So you find out that in parliament, it's controlled by ignorant people or those who are very corrupt, and therefore who suffers? Sisi wananchi ndio tunasuffer kwa sababu hao vijana, hao watu wetu, some of them are young, I call them vijana because they're very young, and that they're not prepared for leadership. So let us demand, as we fight for clean and new government to come in, let's ask those parties, even if it means in the future making sure that a party that is formed a month or 2 or 3 years cannot be allowed to, because they're not organized. Something has to be done to these parties, because these parties where things are broken down. So you come up with your group, and it's about that group, that your interest, because you brought them into the party. And so let me simply leave it there. But we must have proper, well-structured, with a track record parties that can lead us into the election. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Lala. We appreciate that. I want, on that note, to begin to call it a day or a night, depending on where you are. This conversation will continue, so we are not in calling it off, as in the discussion is just starting in terms of Kenyans engaging on the future of their country and what needs to be done to ensure that that future is not bleak and hopeless. And then, of course, Kenyans are not helpless in this matter. I want everybody to have that understanding that we are in here to see to it that we fix this country rightly. And to fix this country rightly, we must be willing to scrutinize everything and everybody, especially those eyeing for political leadership at all levels. For the presidency, that one is a responsibility of every Kenyan, because the president will be president for all Kenyans, different from MCS, different from wherever MPs and or maybe senators. But what I wish for every Kenyan to have an understanding is that that leadership you put in office, you must be putting it in office because you want to stick your neck out. Say, this is the one I've chosen, and I'm sure he's going to deliver. I would invite us to move away from the blanket judgment and blanket cancellation of what we have no information about, especially. And even if you have information, what I don't agree with Anne and Caro and the rest is an invitation to hate somebody because you hate that person, or insult somebody because somebody has insulted that person. Hiyo ni level ingine ya chini sana ambayo mimi siwezi kuhusika. Poleni, lakini cha muhimu hapa ni Ruto ata run for presidents na wengine. Kuna wale wanasema Raila wasn't an option. We had 4 people on the ballot. We had the Reverend, we had Wajakoya, we had Ruto, and we had Raila. So there was nobody forced to elect a particular person. Everybody decided. And the people who decided this term have now said next term they will not vote in that direction, which is legal. It is right. But they should not force everybody to do that. Am I for 2 terms? I have never trusted Ruto. I've never voted for Ruto. And if there is anybody who wants Ruto out of office, it's me, even tomorrow morning. But getting rid of Ruto without fixing Kenya will not make much. So I want Kenyans to up their politics and stop being played by 1 term, 2 term, 2 term. Engage in really issues on who qualifies to be Kenya's president. Let's start there. Why does he qualify? Does he have what it takes to run this country? Does he have the proper understanding, the proper attitude, the proper character, the proper capacity? Those are the things we need to be engaged in, not for us to be sucked into one corner and be told what to do. The same people who are saying Raila anatuambianga cha kufanya, they are still doing what they have been told to do. So what makes you following the so-called united opposition by being told, and then us being told by Raila? It's the same thing. Whatever we're being told, no scrutiny. It doesn't work anywhere. Our Harambee Star played very well in the concluded match wherever in Kasarani. They did not wake up in the morning and say, anybody with a leg who can kick a ball, come and play. No. All those boys were put in the camp. They were tested in every way, and only the best made it to the pitch. That is what I'm asking for. Our athletics are doing well in Tokyo. Okay, those athletes are not, they are Kenyans, yes, but it's not everyone who has been on that field. They picked the top cream to go and participate into those wherever games. That is exactly what I'm asking. Let us not allow our politics to be driven by idiots, by people with questionable character who are leading the country astray, and simply because you are afraid of scrutinizing. Kile mimi naona hapa, kuna watu hapa wanataka gari ile lishaja, au waingie tu na liende. That's the attitude I am seeing here. That means you are running away from responsibility. Hakuna mtu anataka kuweka hapo gari tupu alafu achague ni nani anaingia kwa hilo gari. Wanataka ile limejaa, hao wakiingia liondoke. We can't get our country fixed that way. We must change the approach, change the philosophy, and begin to say, kabla uketi kwa hiki kiti, tukague. Hauna explosives, you are supposed to be in this vehicle, uko na, kama ni mtoto uko na company, unajua kule unatoka, kule unaenda. That labor has to be engaged. But the assumption that kwa sababu Kalonzo na Gachagua wamekubaliana na wamechukua Eugene wakaongeza na Wetangula na hiyo imetosha, sasa tuende. Nataka sasa tuende hapo mahali pa kwa mmeingia wote tushuke the way we used to do in school. Okay, you are all in, but let's all leave. We want to be sure that all the students who left the school in the morning are in the bus by the time you're going back to school. So kila mtu ashuke, ukiitwa jina ndio unaingia. That close scrutiny is what we have left since 1963, and it's what we've been suffering from until now. I don't want it perpetuated. I want us to focus on ensuring that the best among us leads us, not the worst. Let the worst be the last with Ruto. Only the best among us should lead us. The best in athletics are leading us. The best in football are leading us. The best in music are leading us. The best in which other field? Even in the corporate sector. Hakuna mtu anachagulianga CEO kwa sababu ni Mkale ama Mluya. Everybody is put on the interview and scrutinized and reject, and they only hand Safaricom to the competent. They hand Kenya Commercial Bank to the competent. Bank of Africa to the competent. Lakini ikifika kwa siasa, kila mtu akuje. And then you want the country to be run properly that way? No. So that disgrace needs to end now. And it only ends by Kenyans refusing to be deceived again. By saying, Baba akisema ni huyu, imetosha. Baba amekagua. Naye atupatie nafasi ya kumkagua yule mtu ambaye amesema. Hivyo tutasonga mbele. Lakini hii ingine ya kusema kila mtu aende tu kwa sababu tunataka ile timu itawin. We need a team that itawin ndio, lakini ikuwe safi, ikuwe na heshima na ikuwe na utu. That's important, and I believe every right-thinking Kenyan should be able to appreciate that. This conversation will be continuing. Our politics on the edge as we scrutinize the by-elections, the quest for justice, as well as the proper whatever future for this country. Our children must be left in a country that is safe and secure, not a country that is handed. Tunatoa kwa huyu mwizi, tunapeana kwa hao wezi. Hao wezi wakituchapa, tunatoa kwa hao wezi, tunapeana kwa hao wezi. Kwa nini? Tumeogopa kukagua hao watu kabla wapewe nafasi. Hiyo lazima ikome. Kila mtu asimamishwe, akaguliwe, mifuko zake zikaguliwe, tujue ni huyu. Tunakupatia hizi hela. Hizi hela utatupatia accounting after 1 month, umetumia vipi? Scrutiny. Then we save the country. Lakini hii yenu ya tulivyo navyo tuende, hakuna. Hii sio matatu. Tunahitaji nchi ambayo tunaweza kujua kule inatoka na kule inakokwenda. Asanteni sana. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike katika kuendelea kuchambua siasa zetu. Kama hujasubscribe, subscribe. Kama hujatufuata, utufuate. Tukutane tutakapokutana. Asubuhi mapema ni Jumapili, lazima tuende kwa ibada, kwa hivyo tutafunga mapema. Lakini hiyo kesho jioni na waahidi nitakuwa hapa mimi mwenyewe, alafu vijana watakuja Monday. Lakini kwangu mimi nataka kila Mkenya awajibike. Uwe wa kijiji, uwe wa mjini. Don't give leadership to people you have not tested, you have not you don't know their history simply because you are told. Being told, we were told Kenyatta is okay. He left this country in problem. We were told Moi is okay. What happened? Kibaki came in. What happened? Uhuru came in. What happened? Now this time, let the people decide. Thank you. Lala, we are time bad. I'll give you 1 minute.
Oh, okay. Bernard, I just wanted to make just one comment. Democracy na Uafrika, yani Kiafrika, are really one. I'm saying that because even in our tribal tradition, when one became a leader, we want to become a leader, or the council, the committee wants to elect an elder, they sit together and they look at the history of that person. They look at the character of that person. They look at the family of that person. They look at charges that may have been put against that person before they are made candidate for any of those offices. And even when things are bad in a community and they feel something has happened, they begin to look at some of the bad things that have happened that may have caused the God to curse the land, and they try to appease the gods. So when you think about that, that is very democratic. In other words, leadership was given to someone with character. You couldn't buy leadership in some of those communities because you are watched not just by the physical people, but you're watched by the spiritual world. In other words, Africans were very democratic, but we have decided to abandon that, and we are now being sold to the highest bidder. And then we use our tribe. So let us go back to the original understanding of democracy, where truth and justice is what leads us, which I think we can do if we stop this type of politics, that is really destroying us. That's what I want to say. Back to you. Thank you very much.
So, asante sana Lala, tunashukuru na tutaendelea na mazungumzo haya. And you're very interesting. I think the back and forth is enough. Let's engage further. United Opposition is sasa na kuuliza wakiingia kama United Opposition wakiwa serikali wataitwaje? Watakuwa United Opposition against who? Against what? Just food for thought, But kwa wengine wote, asanteni sana kujumuika nasi katika uchambuzi wa siasa leo. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike katika kusupport channel na kuendelea kusubscribe. Karibisha mtu awe sehemu ya mazungumzo haya. Tukutane tutakapokutana, tafadhali tusimame imara, tutetee Kenya na tuiokoe kabisa kabisa. Hakuna kuokoa nusu, tunaiokoa kabisa kabisa. Kwa hivyo jitahidi katika kuwajibika na kubeba shughuli hii nzima kwa mabega yako. Usitarajie kutumia mabega ya jirani wewe ukifanya nothing about saving the country. God bless you. Tukutane tutakapokutana katika kipindi kinachofuata.
Sound Candy Talk Live News. Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Candy Talk Live. Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candy Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and lives. Reach on us today.
You've dreamed about the perfect wedding, the dress, the vows, the happily ever after, but let's ask the most important question. Before you say I do, are you truly ready for the lifelong commitment that comes after the honeymoon period fades? Bernard Ngozzi's groundbreaking ebook Are You Marriage Ready is the ultimate guide to building a successful, lasting marriage. This isn't just another relationship book, it's a heart-to-heart conversation that prepares you for one of life's biggest decisions, getting married. Are you choosing love or just infatuation? Are you building a marriage or just planning a wedding day?
Reading this book was a game changer. I realized I wasn't as ready as I thought, but now I'm on the right path.
Don't wait until it's too late. Invest in your future. Download Are You Marriage Ready today. Link in the description below. Your future spouse deserves the best. Are you ready?